to the 101 podcast with
Kyla,
Casey,
and Carol.
Hey, welcome to 101. Do I have any points or motions on the floor?
Motion of debate.
That's in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Debate is now open. Look who we have today on the podcast.
Or rather, hear who we have.
Yeah, look at me. I'm John.
John is one of our biggest fans of this podcast. Would you say that?
The biggest fan.
I mean, it may sound like it, but we don't have John at gunpoint right now.
I am most definitely here on my own free will. Totally.
Blink twice, they won't be able to see it.
John, would you like to talk a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a freshman. Gonna be a sophomore soon enough. Too soon.
If you're lucky.
Oh, jeez.
We'll see.
I'm majoring in international relations. Maybe changing my major. Stay tuned.
Wait,
Stay
we
tuned.
didn't know that.
To what?
Stay tuned.
To what?
To what?
History and anthropology, maybe.
Okay, respect. Because you're into Middle Eastern history, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to do Middle Eastern Studies minor now.
That makes sense.
And then, because I was thinking about, I'm like, I care a lot less about the international stage than I do the specific stuff in the Middle East.
That's fair.
So I was like, well, it would just make more sense to focus on it instead.
How long have you been doing MUN? Because your whole life, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, since I was born,
I popped out and did MUN.
I popped out and went to Chomun.
Popped out with a gavel in my hand.
My mom thought she was going to have twins, but the other one was just a gavel.
That was good.
I've been doing Model UN for my freshman year, and that's really it. I did, accidentally went to a MUN conference in high school because I was supposed to do Model Congress, but then, some money issues, so then they're like, oh, it's cheaper just to go to this Model UN conference instead of Model Congress, so we went.
So you're like, oh, that's
accidentally
fine.
found Model UN.
Oh,
I never
how
knew that
was
story.
it?
It was actually so much fun. It was the Syrian peace accords, and what happened was I was Iran, so I was supposed to be the big boy ally of Assad.
Nice.
I had a relevant position.
I mean,
then
not
I got
nice
there.
to Assad, but cool
No,
position.
I don't. Yeah, a cool position. Yeah, cool position. I got there, and it was a lot different from what MUN is for me now, because it was more of just everyone was kind of goofy, shouting over each other as high schoolers do, because that's what high schoolers do. It was really informal. What I loved about it was what happened was at the end we just cut Syria in half and gave it a north and a south, and Damascus was the neutral zone, kind of like how Berlin was
that worked really well, right?
Yeah, we
so well.
We did the East-West Germany, but North and South Syria for the Russians and the Americans on either side, or NATO and then the Russians on the other side.
Oh
wow,
That was our final
What a
resolution.
solution!
But we had democratic elections on both sides, so
Hey.
in theory, on paper, it's oh, look at that, the people are getting representation, but I don't think that actually would have worked.
Well,
Probably not, but I like the
Aspirations.
moxie.
Yeah.
John got to see me do an entire presentation on the Syrian refugee crisis today.
Yes,
so
I did.
He had to sit through that, which was an experience for everyone.
and how's your collegiate MUN career been?
Yeah, how
so
did you
far?
get involved collegiately?
Yeah.
Oh, so it was when someone was join Model UN, so I was I guess I'm going to join Model UN now. Someone told me to in college. So
Peer pressure.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how you
Exactly
join
what
Model UN in
happened
college.
with me getting Casey and Caroline to join.
Yep.
So.
that's how it works. You
That's
just
how
get
it
peer
works.
pressured.
Exactly.
And the first meeting, I brought 6 friends with me. And I was like, well,
Nice.
there's free pizza, so you have to come. And they were like, oh, I guess. So, and then here I am.
Fair
Which
enough.
ones did you bring?
It was Riley and then my other friends. So, and you're
The
not
other
gonna know
ones?
any of them.
The
You're
other
not gonna
ones.
know, but you don't know any
The
of
other
them.
ones that didn't join.
And Riley was
great,
the only
though.
one who joined.
Riley's great.
None of them were diploma majors, so it was
That's a hard sell. to
Riley's a
make
journalism
sometimes.
major, but hard sell to get any of them to do it.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Even though, to all those out there, you don't have to be a diplomacy major
Nope.
to do MUN. Some of the most successful delegates that I know are actually STEM majors,
Or
which is
poli
crazy.
sci or something like that.
We're not going to get into our one poli-sci delegate. Maybe we'll have him on sometime. He knows who
maybe.
he is. But no, genuinely, one of our former presidents was a chem major, and you don't have to be diplo to do this.
And every time we get one delegate who's not a diplo major, we're like, look at them. Look at it. Look at, we have
Exemplary.
one person.
This is our token non-diplo major.
John, you joined in the fall, and, tell us a little bit of the story of, how your year has gone with MUN, and, the ups and downs you've had.
So I went to trainings, had a good time, kind of fell off the wagon, and I don't remember why. I just kind of got I didn't go to a conference at all in the fall. And then I didn't go when I to the
Because you were
first
just I'm not sure if I'm gonna.
Yeah, I told myself I wouldn't go to conference freshman year because I had a lot going on. I'm doing the whole I'm 18 credits. I'm busy type of guy, but I'm really not that busy. I can act like I am, but I'm not.
We get that.
So then I was I did our high school conference, and I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And then it just so happened it was still open for and MUN, the application. So found myself in that, and I had so much fun. Probably the highlight of my freshman year.
Aww.
That is so great.
Love
That makes me so happy.
Anmon was
Highly
great.
professional.
Anmon was great.
Y'all
Since-
got to hear us talk about Anmon and
It's so much
how
fun.
legendary it was. So having John as his first conference there
And
was
if you hadn't-
really cool.
It was the last episode we did.
You should listen
So
to
check
it.
it out.
Check it out.
John, would you like to share a little bit about what you did at Anmon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was in the Jewish revolt against Rome
Mm-hmm.
around, I believe it was 66 CE. So, like, this is historically Rome marched in and said, yo, you guys gotta stop revolting. Basically, that's what they said. And then they burned down the second temple, or I think burned it down. Yeah, they didn't have gunpowder. They burned it down. That's what happened historically. And so we're supposed to, like, prevent that and somehow, like, get, like, a free Judea, a free, like, state, or, like, just don't burn. Just don't die.
Just don't.
just don't.
Just don't die. So what happened was I was a high priest. He had a great name. It was
Ananus?
Ananus ben Ananus. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Obviously, I'm not saying it right. Let's be honest. I don't speak Hebrew. So I, like, went in there and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a powerful religious figure. I'm going to reshape the temple. I'm going to reshape, the perspectives. And then I get there and they're kind of like, yeah, you're a religious figure. You don't have that much leeway, that much sway. And I was like, guess I'm not doing that.
Well,
Cancel it.
I looked up the historical what happened, and so, like, the emperor is Nero, and he dies, and then with the span of, like, 1 or 2 years, there were 6 different emperors just stabbing each other, killing each other, dying.
As you do.
That fun. Yeah. What else do you do when in Rome?
When in Rome.
When in Rome, die 6 times a year.
So you were like, hey, I don't have as much power as I thought. So what did you do
Yes.
after that?
Okay, so historically, this guy Vespasian, he was a commander of, like, some legions, and he historically is the guy that is sent in to march into. Well, I think I'm getting this right. I could be wrong. Someone's gonna correct me out there on Twitter or Instagram.
All those cutthroat fans we have.
Yes. So, from what I understand historically, he's the one who marched in there and suppressed the revolt, and then he became emperor, and apparently, like, he prospered pretty well because he had, like, really, like, successful economic reforms, which is, it's pretty dope. I mean,
That's nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
big empire like Rome, they need a good economy, I would hope.
Go
So,
off.
what I did was I contacted him, and I was like, oh, yo, like, this commander Vespasian, I want to send him a letter. Contacted him, and I was like, if you overthrow Nero, like, I can help you suppress the revolt in Judea, and if you, like, put me as the prefect, like the governor of Judea, after you suppress the revolt. So I like, turn side. I'm a turncoat, I admit it.
It's fine.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, if you help me with this, put me as prefect, I can keep the Judean people, like, calm. I can keep them, like, from revolting again. And he was like, oh yeah, totally, but, like, I'm a little bit scared of this Nero guy, he's pretty crazy. He took forever to march on Rome, and when he finally did, it was when some other delegate lit half the city on fire.
Oh, man.
Tell us a little bit about some in-room stuff.
Yeah, so
Do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
shout out to Griffin from Elon.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a crisis update that was like 15 minutes, you have to answer this, where there was, I believe it was like 40 to 100, one of those numbers, orphans in an orphanage that was surrounded by Roman soldiers, and we had to save them. So me and a few other delegates, we tried to sell our good friend Griffin over here trade him over for the orphan hostages because, no one punished him for it, but he had gone against committee orders previously. And so I thought I was out of order, so we're like, hey, whatever, go.
Cut.
Go.
Throat. Whatever. Go. Honestly, you gotta do it sometime.
We were going to trade him, but that didn't work.
It really be.
The chair was like, that's dilatory. And we were like, all right.
All right.
And then what happened to the orphans?
The chair thought it was acceptable that we would burn down the orphanage instead and plant evidence that the Romans did it. But trading someone for the orphans was too much.
Oh god.
Well,
Listen.
Finding creative solutions. Model UN.
We tried.
See, remember in I think episode 1 when I said it does have relevancy to real life.
well,
This is
Can't
where it
you
is.
see now?
Yeah.
Like
so relevant.
clearly.
We're building up useful skills for the world which we will step into in our careers.
The amount of times that I've considered selling Casey to save orphans, man, like, I wish. Carol
Honestly,
and I
like-
talked about it over breakfast this morning.
Who would you sell me
Oh my
to
God,
for
I know.
orphans?
Most people.
Okay.
Wow.
That's fine. I'm gonna change my bio on Instagram
Sure.
to just like wanderlust with like some like asterisks and like squiggly lines.
yeah.
So I'm really down for any kind of adventure that comes my way.
Is it in like a weird font that you got
Yeah.
on Google?
yeah.
But it's like a weird keyboard, so every letter is really hard to read, and it's kind of
right.
like slanted, and
Every
you're like,
letter-
I'm not sure about that one.
Every letter, it's in a different alphabet
Oh,
where they do
Oh,
it.
no.
A
Whoever.
guy on Twitter's
Anyone.
name was apparently Mark, but he put the backwards R, which in Cyrillic is a yaw, so it was Mayak.
Yuck.
Me too.
Ooh, that's
I mean,
kind
it
of a
looked
fun
cool,
name.
but like Mayak.
Adding that to the baby name list. Mayak.
So, John, you kind of went through this evolution of a delegate as like, hey, I'm going to come have fun on the weekends, to I listen to a Model UN podcast that I plug for the people. I'm not even on the podcast, but I plug it as hard as the people who record the podcast.
Can I interject here for a second?
I appreciate
John's
it.
mom follows us on all
shout
of our
out
social
to my
medias.
mom if
Shout
you're
out
listening.
to John's mom. That's the kind of commitment that we're talking about.
Not only is John a fan, John's mom is a fan.
I didn't even have to convince her.
Yeah, she found us.
She, on her own initiative, said, let me listen to this to understand what my son is raving about.
That's so cute, though.
Yeah,
I
see,
love
That's
that.
a great mom.
Love
I
my
love
mom.
that.
I don't
Shout out
think-
to John's mom.
I don't think my mom... I haven't told her about the podcast.
You haven't told her?
No, it hasn't come up in conversation.
Caroline's
That's not
mom.
something that
Interesting.
comes up like, blah, 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 blah. If you had a podcast. Oh, yes, actually, I do have a podcast, Mom, now that you mention it.
Caroline's mom, this is for you. I'm going to make sure that Caroline tells you, and I'm going to make sure that you listen to this episode, and I want to tell you hi. I'll see you soon. Graduation's coming up. We hope you like the podcast. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter. That's all.
She
Yeah.
doesn't have Instagram or Twitter, but my brother has listened to the podcast.
That's good for him.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, now that we dropped it, Instagram, if you're only listening, or you found us off of Reddit of all places, or you found us off of Twitter, we do have an Instagram now, and we are trying desperately to hit 100 follows so we can use analytics.
We love
That is,
analytics.
we gotta set small goals and move forward.
For sure.
You want to tell us a little bit about the committee you did in our high school conference? You just had this twinkle in your eye, and you were like, this is so much fun.
Yeah, so I was the vice chair for a committee on... The exact title was Napoleon's 100 Days. So, I have to brush up on my French history. As far as I know, he came back for a whole 100 days. Long time, I guess, for him.
It was post first banishing.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
came back from
Yeah.
the first banishment, was back in France trying to
Yeah.
regain power.
Yeah,
That was the
basically,
stage.
he was banished to this island named Elba, and which was in the Mediterranean still. So he basically got on a ship and just came right back, and was so popular still that he just rode the popularity up to the throne, and then just tried to regain what he was doing before, and it all crumbled again.
Yeah.
But so the committee started at the beginning of those 100 days when he was back. So
Yeah, so...
how was that for you?
Our oh glorious Emperor Napoleon shows up, and we're like, let's do this again. We we can fight Europe again. So I was the vice chair. Great high schoolers in my committee. They were all so much fun. Like, I genuinely mean, I'm not even trying to be the nice guy. They were great
No,
kids.
genuinely. Every year the kids are really
Yeah.
great. It's such a fun time to see
It is
them
so
grow and honestly see how good they are at debate, because some of them are just so talented.
Some of
Yeah.
them are better than I could ever wish to be.
That's really inspiring
honestly
as
so
a delegate
true.
for you.
Caroline,
What do you mean?
a
Hey.
fairly distinguished collegiate delegate, won several awards, but not as good as a high school freshman.
I mean,
Okay, I'm just saying, did the kids teach you more than you could teach yourself? Okay, so what were some of your favorite crisis updates? Because I know they got a little
Ooh.
fun there. There was
Oh,
a
yeah.
baguette thrown in the room.
I loved when one of our crisis staffers and our crisis director, who was Napoleon, of course, they broke the stale baguette in the middle of the room, and I heard one of the kids go, "Oh my god, it's a real baguette!" They both took a bite out of it, and I could see their faces when they realized it was stale as they bit into it, and did that forced smile as they were chewing it.
Someone got married too,
The-
right?
Oh yeah, and then one of our crisis staffers came in as
Is that Riley?
Yeah, as Napoleon's daughter, and married someone in committee. That was very interesting. The wedding dress was, as if I recall, a bed sheet or a curtain,
Yeah.
one or the other.
I think they used one of the Russian textbooks as the...
Yes, as the Bible.
Yep.
oh,
You have to get innovative
yeah.
in these hard times.
Ben T. Clark's Russian.
It was when I was talking about the NYU monk committee I went to, where they're going for a certain look, but they only have 4 different props.
Yeah.
So they're in the case they talked about, it was blanket, sword, I'm the Pope.
Yeah.
Here it was blanket, Russian textbook, let's do a marriage.
Yes.
Which I love. A friend who is one of our great, great friends and also was the crisis director for that committee almost bought a Napoleon costume
Should've.
on Amazon, but it was too expensive. But he did show up, as he said, with a full real baguette, and that baguette was gigantic. It was at least
Massive.
3 feet long. I don't know where he bought a baguette that big.
No,
But
and
he
I
did.
know exactly where it was from.
What?
It's from where I work.
Oh. Are there baguettes that big there?
Yes.
Well,
We use them
all
for
I ever
French
get is
toast.
all I ever get is the scones. So
We use them for French toast, baby.
awesome. So
We use them for French toast, baby. It's good.
Yummy.
Fun fact.
We got
Oh,
way off track.
To seal the marriage, instead of kissing, they shook hands. And when the hands shot out of the bedsheet, I cried laughing. And I have to be I'm the serious vice chair, but I didn't care at that point. The hand shot out of the bedsheet for the handshake.
No, I still remember. I get what you mean by, like, I have to be the serious, like, vice chair, because my freshman year, I rapped before ever going to a conference. Like, I had never even been to a real Model UN conference.
You didn't you didn't like freestyle rap.
Sorry, I was rapporteur. As some people call it rapporteur, which makes me hurt inside. Rapporteur. And, which, like, if you only do chair and vice chair, rapporteur's job is to basically type up whatever you need typed up, whether that be resolutions or directives, make edits, which it's kind of the entry-level position for someone who's never done MUN before. But I just sat there the whole time, and I was like, all right, I gotta be serious, because, like, when you're in Model UN and you're on the dais, you have to be serious. Later learned, absolutely not the case.
Incorrect.
But I remember feedback. I was told that I needed to smile more.
Oh, I'm gonna bring up something right now.
The feedback for John.
John's committee. We went in for feedback because I was the SecGen and Casey was head of committees. So we went in for feedback and we're asking the high schoolers what they thought about the committee. We're like, what do you guys think of your dais? And they're like, oh, they're really great. Jared and John, like, they're really great. But I gotta say, the chair looks dead. And we were like, what? And they were like, I don't know. He just has no emotion. He's just dead. And it's kind of iconic because Devin was the chair and he's one of our best friends and he is one of the most, like, expressive humans I've ever met. So I don't know what happened there, but sorry you look dead, guys. If you're listening.
In all the conference photos, he's just like, he looks angry.
He just looks
does
displeased.
Displeased.
The entire time.
Something about Napoleon really didn't sit well with him.
The French man.
Shout out to him, my mentor.
Yeah.
My MUN father.
And the man who came before you in your new e-board position.
Yeah.
That's right, John.
Oh yeah, I'm like relevant.
I'm like irrelevant.
I'm a large member. I am the member at large.
He's well-rounded.
I'm
Rotund.
well.
I'd just like to share a little snippet from elections. We do a little question part where those running can respond to questions that other people in the general body have about, you know, what they would do in the position. So someone asks a question, you know, use one word to describe what you think it means to be a member at large. And John, would you like to share what you responded?
So first, I responded rotund, and I was told to be a little bit more serious. And being me, without thinking, I immediately spit out well-rounded. But of course, everyone laughed at me because it was, oh, haha, well-rounded, rotund. But I meant it in all seriousness, and I was trying to be like, hey guys, that's not funny, like, I'm serious, but everyone was already laughing, so it was too late, and I was like, alright, I guess it was pretty funny.
Well, I thought it was funny.
One of my good moments, I guess.
I laughed.
Do you,
Thank you.
because you've only so far been to one conference, thank you for sharing about Anmun, but do you have, from training, from any of your arcs you've ever done, including training, do you have, like, a favorite arc that sticks out in your mind as something you just want to share?
Okay, so that whole Vespasian thing with Nero, the ending of it is just something that I can't get over. The fact that I got 3 other people to secede with me from Judea and be like, join the Romans. When the crisis director answered us, she didn't, like, it was the end of committee, like, we waited too long to send this note, which is our fault.
Yeah.
I guess maybe our crisis director didn't have, like, an answer for it. Maybe she thought about it and was like, yeah, these guys don't deserve to have a happy ending. She told us, yeah, like, Edom is, like, destroyed, so you guys kind of died because we had nowhere to go, I guess.
I love that.
No.
Breaking news. Kyla, would you like to share?
101 has just hit 100 followers on Instagram.
Now if we can only just hit
Damn.
101 followers.
I
from
hope someone
101.
unfollows us right now.
Right now, I'm
unfollow
looking
right
at
now.
it.
All we have to do is, if you listen on an iPhone, please listen through iTunes, because then we can get analytics for iTunes.
Should I be doing that?
Because we've already hit over 100 streams on Spotify, but iTunes analytics are some sweet, sweet gold, as I've heard, when you can unlock the full analytics at 100
Unlock
streams.
it.
Yeah, so you have to have a certain amount to start using the analytics, and it's 100, so... We've hit it on Spotify, we need to hit it on iTunes too. So you seceded, and they were like, no.
Essentially,
You all
she was
died.
like, yeah, you guys... I didn't get it because what happened was it was the person across the table that was closer to her, so they got the answer for me instead of me, even though I was kind of the one who made the note in the first place. That's not the point. They got the answer, and they, like, passed me a note across the table, like, smiling and laughing, and it just said, like, Edom doesn't exist anymore, which means, like, I guess the Romans came and sacked it and, like, absolutely obliterated it, which makes sense because they surrounded Jerusalem, so they would have to go through other parts of Judea.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we messed up.
No, that's about the equivalent of the foresight that one of my joint crisis notes had, where we were trying to act like, hey, the religious leaders are trying to call a holy war on us by using the Pope, so we faked a letter from the Pope coming in, and then they were like, oh, that's weird, we didn't really ask him for soldiers to do a holy war. You know, we should write back to him and, you know, ask him for more resources. And we're sitting there thinking, like, oh, the Pope's about to be really confused because he didn't even send this letter in the first place. That was a lack of foresight.
Oh, hate that.
Do you have any special memories you'd like to share from the Mun team?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. It's already been covered, but so I'll cover something else. But real quick recap at Anmun when we went in the pool.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And I had Jared on my shoulders and killed my back for like the next 3 days.
I know. I woke up the next day and was like, why am I in so much pain?
Kyla was not happy that I was on her shoulders.
No, I have chronic neck pain, so
fun,
it
though.
wasn't the move, but I was here for the fun.
Yeah.
It's all about...
Putt-putt was good.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the next putt-putt, just the Masters tournament that went on.
Oh god, that was so fun.
And also seeing, shout out to Peter, seeing Peter like 30 feet away just sitting crisscross applesauce in the middle of a parking lot that was empty.
What?
With his golf club going like this.
Yeah, like
up and down in the
I
air.
was too busy winning the Masters.
She was too busy winning the Masters.
You were.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, but
Did you get any sponsors from that?
Yeah, HelloFresh sponsored me.
Casper.
Casper Mattress sponsored me.
I think Blue Apron's gonna sponsor you. after
Blue
this one.
Apron.
Honestly, look, if Blue Apron sponsored us and then like sent us food,
I would
Great.
just like to say to all of the podcast sponsors out there, please offset the $100 and something that this microphone cost. Give us a sponsorship. I promise we're wholesome.
What was your other memory?
Give me a second. I was thinking
can't
about Blue
remember.
Apron for too long. You hear that, Blue Apron? I'm thinking of you.
Hey girl. Hey Blue Apron.
Hey girl,
It's like,
I heard you make good
hey,
food.
Blue Apron you up.
we're gonna finish recording and John's gonna slide into Blue Apron's DMs.
I'll do it. My favorite memory. I've always had fun. So like,
Is
I have a
it
good
getting
argument.
your big?
Oh, okay, yeah. When Devin turned around and everyone was hugging their big, and he shot out his hand for a handshake, and my whole mind just went, okay, handshake.
Like, this is gonna be such a special relationship.
Yeah, I was like, business. Oh, Devin was in committee with me at Anlon too.
That's
Should have
true.
probably mentioned that.
That was cute.
Yeah.
It was fun. He was like helping me with some of the stuff, but I didn't want to keep him in on all of it just in case, because he was a spy master type guy, so
Sure.
didn't want him
Good
to,
move.
turn on me or something with a bunch of spies and
That's
assassinate
smart
me.
of you.
Yeah.
Assassinate me.
He might.
Wow, my big assassinated me at conference.
Oh, bonding.
You never know.
Bonding.
You
Team
truly
bonding.
Truly
I think
never
he
know.
might do it.
I'm always an
Shout out.
advocate for like.
Shout out to Devin. You look dead and might kill me.
We can be dead together.
Aw,
I'm always a
cute.
big advocate for like if you're in the same room as someone on your own team at conference, you don't have to work with them. I would say don't work with them the entire time, but also don't try to go after them because when you both succeed, the team succeeds.
Yeah.
That kind of gross camaraderie.
Gross camaraderie.
Here's our last little question for you, John. If you had one piece of advice about Model UN, it doesn't need to be anything deep. It doesn't need to be like committee advice. Just anything about MUN. What would it be?
Okay, so I'm a very self-conscious person, I'll admit it. So, like, I have trouble speaking in public, and so that's fun. So especially for MUN, that's like you're doing MUN, but you're bad at public speaking. That's ironic, and I'm fully aware of that. But I realized, like, after, like, the first day, like, when I got in there, I was, like, nervous. I'm like, oh, my God, look at these people. They know what they're doing. They have blue pens, red pens, green pens, purple pens, pink pens, yellow pens. But we're all just goofy college students who actually don't know what we're doing. They can tell you they know what they're doing. They don't.
They
That's
don't.
true.
None of us know what we're doing. I think,
No.
at
The
least.
amount of gel pens doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That's
no.
what's
No.
inside.
You can have any number of gel pens, any number of expensive gel pens, cheap gel pens, but at the end of the day, we're all the same goofy college students doing Model UN. So, hey,
Yeah.
just speak. Because I wish I told myself that earlier.
That's good. That's
so
so
wholesome.
wholesome.
so
That was
cute.
so good. I know that Casey said that was the last question, but I have a question though.
Go ahead,
Oh,
go
no.
ahead.
It's not about MUN. If you could identify as one vegetable, what would it be?
One
why?
One vegetable.
Note that we're counting tomatoes for this purpose.
Are you saying you want
Oh.
to pick tomato?
For those audio viewers out here who can't tell, I have very
Audio.
rosy red cheeks, so I am a tomato. I identify with tomato.
There we go.
That's
Nice
fair.
rosy red cheek.
Honest, tomatoes are good. I think everyone in this
Tomatoes are
room
great.
likes tomatoes. I know
Yeah.
they're contentious sometimes.
Yeah.
People.
I'm not a big like stewed whole tomatoes person, but I like tomatoes in every other context.
Well, I was gonna make
Chunky
shakshuka.
tomato sauce?
I'd usually eat around the chunks. I'm sorry. I
Wait,
like
me
smooth
too.
tomato sauce and ketchup and like raw tomatoes.
Really?
I eat slices.
I'm the
raw,
guy
but-
who like my dad doesn't like tomatoes. Like so like if he has like a burger with a tomato slice, I yoink that, you know. I steal that, put that on mine. Yoink that tomato slice. Like I literally love tomatoes, and there's people like if you don't like tomatoes, like tomato slices on like your burger or your sandwiches, you're a narc.
Oh, that was
Hot take.
Hey John, I actually have one last question. What's your SSN?
Oh yeah, so it's one.
Wait, I've got one.
Okay.
What does a cowboy goose say?
Can I
Ye honk.
Yeah! That's what I was gonna say. Yeah! That's what it says!
To me that so excited it says yeehonk. Oh, can I tell a little story?
I
today?
can't believe I got that.
So I was
Wow,
talking
congrats.
earlier about how John had to watch me do an entire presentation on Syrian refugees,
Yes.
which after that another group was presenting, and I was doodling in my legal pad, which I do constantly. I have several sheets that are just full of mostly me writing weird things in different fonts.
All honors.
And that's all I did when we were in our honors colloquia. But I closed the notepad and the girl next to me grabbed it and saw that I had written yeehaw a total of 44 times in different fonts. And she went, "Are you okay?" in the middle of them presenting. And that's why the professor was like, "You two, quiet." And I was just like, "Very sorry."
44?
Next time, write ye honk 44 times.
Well, it was like variations too.
It's like your brain is just like yeehaw, yeehaw, yeehaw.
Ha yee,
You-
yaw, yahi, different things.
Caroline looks very skeptical.
She looks upset.
No, I'm just thinking of variations
I
of
also, I also doodled Arab Spring and Arab Winter in like flowers and snowflakes.
It was relevant, so it makes sense.
Because
It's really funny.
I didn't know that the Arab Winter exists, but I found out today.
Yeah, I found that out
That was
actually
interesting.
not today,
Wow.
but like a month ago when I was like I did one of
I'm
those like
smart.
Wikipedia dives.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like or I was
Casey
like
loves those.
Yeah,
I
that's
did it
all
with
do in
like
class.
I did it with like the sects of Islam and all the different denominations. Like I went through all those and I was like, this is more confusing than when I was more confused by the end of it than I was when I first went into it.
Sure.
I don't get it.
Post-Arab Spring, the violent oppression of minority groups, that's called the Arab Winter. Fun fact.
Today you
So,
learned.
now we know.
Don't ever say this podcast didn't do you good for your history final. This is so off topic, but I drove down to Anma. While we were down, the people in my car, the four of us, we decided everyone on our delegation was going to be a like monument or historical place. We did this with a couple other things like animals, colors,
Yes.
Greek gods and
High school
goddesses.
stereotypes.
It
High
was
school
fun.
stereotypes. It was great. I had so
That
much
was
fun
cool.
doing that. So we did like landmarks or like historical places. So of course Steven is the Liberty Bell.
Before we go, I want you to comment on how nice our podcasting studio is.
Oh my god, this studio is crazy. Like I could record like a new rap album in here or something. I don't.
Yeah.
Do you
I
want
don't
to?
rap.
Do you know Jay-Z actually used this studio?
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
You guys need to like hit them with questions of like what their setup is like because it's crazy.
Honestly, we're really lucky. It's if my uncle wasn't a big time sound producer in Los Angeles, I don't know what we would
We
be
actually
doing.
fly
He's got
out
a
every
sound-
weekend to record in LA.
We're
We're also in business suits with heels, so
That's
it's hard
true.
to
Yeah,
hard to
my
walk
business
sometimes.
shoes are hurting me. You know, gotta loosen my tie right
Sitting
now.
in leather chairs. Leather spinny chairs.
Ooh.
Spin. I'm spinning right now. I'm
You hear the
spinning right
spin?
now. I'm spinning right
Spinning.
now.
Do you hear the spin?
This is turning into an
All right.
ASMR podcast
Okay.
real fast.
No.
All right.
Never.
I'm gonna
No.
look favorably upon any motions.
Motion to close debate.
That is absolutely in order. All those in favor,
I
Aye.
debate is now closed. Hey,
Point of inquiry. What are your social medias?
You can follow us on Twitter at Mono1podcast, and you can also email us at mono1.business@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Mono1 podcast. We hope to have you back soon.